Engines roar, the night ignites, rubber burns under neon lights, chrome shining, stars align, dreams hit the track, now it's grind time. Wrapped tight, tailpipes glow, pit stop precision, gotta keep that flow. Crowds a jungle, hearts in the choke, lap by lap, adrenaline spoke. Speed kings, chasing that checkered crown. Under the moon, we don't slow down. Saturday nights, we ride, we fly. Premium league, we touch the sky. Pedal to metal, no brakes in sight. Racing forever in the glowing night. V8 screaming, thunder on wheels, heat from the asphalt raw and real. Tracks a snake, it twists and winds, grip the wheel, leave fear behind. Spotlights dance, tires squeal, victory's close, you can almost feel. Pulse is wild, the finish looms, the checkered flag, it seals the room. Premium league, we touch the sky. Pedal to metal, no brakes in sight. Racing forever in the glowing night. V8 screaming, thunder on wheels, heat from the asphalt raw and real. Tracks a snake, it twists and winds, grip the wheel, leave fear behind. Spotlights dance, tires squeal, victory's close, you can almost feel. Pulse is wild, the finish looms, the checkered flag, it seals the room.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in for what will be another amazing night of racing action as we head back to Daytona International Speedway. This time it is the road course here this afternoon. So a little bit of left-hand turns and right-hand turns here for these amazing premium stock car racing league drivers. So they're gonna test and tune, they're gonna work on their cars, but first it comes to qualifying after what was a pretty crazy practice session. We saw a lot of drivers trying different things, trying to carry different speed into different corners, trying to find that extra little bit of an edge, as everybody's gonna be looking to try to lay down not only just a good qualifying attempt and a good qualifying pass here to start decently in the field, but for each and every one of these drivers, there's also a little bit more on the line because they're looking to try and win the pole position, as our boy Mr. Lonnie Crider coming in and putting in a little bit of extra cash into our pole sitter's back pocket. So for the next 3 races, Lonnie Crider has added in some extra payouts here for these drivers. So here at Daytona, our pole sitter will earn himself an extra $10 here today, brought to you by Mr. Lonnie Crider himself. And then as we head to Eldora, the pole sitter will also earn himself $5 there in each. Winner of our heat races at Eldora will also win $10. So right there, man, Eldora, if you can get a good qualifying lap in, you qualify on the pole, you go out and win your heat race, you'll be walking away with $15 there. If you can lay down a good lap time here at Daytona, you could be walking away with an extra $10 in your back pocket. And then we head to our 3rd race here that Lonnie has set up these payouts for, and that is at Michigan International Speedway, where once again the pole sitter could earn themselves $15. $15. Cold hard UST cashola into their back pocket. Huge shout there to Lonnie coming in and, giving these drivers a little opportunity here to try to earn themselves some extra money out there on the speedway. So they're all doing the best they can, looking to try to lay down the quickest lap times that they possibly can out there on the speedway. Right now we're waiting for at least one driver to get a lap in. A lot of these drivers have had to do their warm-up lap. Now they're starting to get into that first lap here, so they're going to be looking to lay down some quick times. Now they got a lot of time here in this qualifying session as we're about to click off 4 minutes into qualifying. They virtually still have another 6 minutes here to try to get lap times in, and here we go. We're starting to see some of those lap times roll in, and right now it is Brandon Holder in that beautiful 31 machine with the quick time so far here in qualifying at a 1 minute 46.22 second. Wesley Burke is second here, a second quickest lap time with a 146.99, and then we go into the 147s and 148s and a few down into the 149s, but we still got a lot of drivers left to qualify, and a lot of these drivers, they still get their second lap. So if they may have made a mistake early on in that first lap, they got to get a little bit of an opportunity here to try and just kind of lock things down on lap number 2. Make sure they hit their marks, make sure they get the runs that they need, and see if they can slide up a little farther on that timesheet and try to win that money. Brought to you by Lonnie Crider, and obviously give themselves a wonderful starting position here on the day as well. As Ryan Stevenson in the chat says, get it, Wilder, bring that win home, he says. Bring that win home, baby. Let's go, Mr. Stevenson. How are you? How you doing this afternoon? We got a new quick time. It's the 39. The Ally Chevrolet of Ryan Campbell jumps up. We saw Ryan Campbell did have the quickest lap time in our practice session. So for Campbell, maybe this was the lap he really needed to try to lock himself in, try to earn that cold hard cash here this afternoon. For Brandon Holder, he'll be looking to get a little quicker here in lap number 2. As he heads down and out of core number 12 here at Daytona International Speedway and across the line. Let's see if he gains any. Let's see if he can beat him. No, he cannot. Oh, tough break. Holder, unfortunately, about 3/10 slower there on his second lap. Does not leapfrog Ryan Campbell. So Campbell still with the quick time out there on the speedway. Sean Wilder, he's up and into third here. Wesley Burke, who's in fourth, doesn't look like he's going to continue here. So it looks like his qualifying efforts will be done. Staying with Ben Gleason, Jack Fletcher. Let's take a look here at Melvin Brenger. Brenger still rolling out there. Corsair Ride looks like he's done his second lap. Here we go, down across the line for Jeremy Jeffries. Can Jeffries find a little extra something? Doesn't look like it's going to be enough, unfortunately, for Jeffries. He's going to stay back at about the 14th spot. Right now, it's Ryan Campbell who still has that quick time, and he's looking to maybe get even quicker here. Maybe break that 1 minute 45 second bracket and put himself into, even better of a position, even farther away from the rest of these guys. As right now, he's got about 0.2 of a second between himself and Holder for the quick time out there on the speedway, trying to qualify in that pole position. Down across the line, does he find a little extra speed? No, it looks like he loses about 3, almost 0.4 of a second there in that second lap. Actually, he was about 3 seconds slower there. So obviously not pushing as hard right there. Maybe a good call, but here we go. Sean Wilder back down across the line. His second lap's going to come to a close. What does Wilder get here? Does he gain a little extra? Does look like he gains a bit. Just not enough. He'll stay in that third spot here in the qualifying session. Sean Merriman looks like his qualifying effort will be done. And I'm not sure if we're going to get Josh Crider, Brian Underwood, Brookover, Sleitler, Robert Wolf, Abram Ghostin, Jordan Crider, or Danny Whiteout here for a qualifying run. As of right now, I believe it's going to be Ryan Campbell here with the quick time. We'll have to wait for qualifying to come to a close, but as that timer continues to click down, and we're about 2 minutes here left in this qualifying effort, I don't know if any of these guys can even get out onto the racetrack, get practice lap in and then a full lap in. So I think it is done. I think it's going to be Ryan Campbell with the quick time out there on the speedway. Let's see if we can get Campbell up here into the booth for a little pre-race interview. Obviously earning himself an extra $10 on the day, brought to you by Lonnie Crider. See if we can get him up here into the booth right now. Let me see where he's hiding. Where is he at? Ryan Campbell. There he is. All right, he's in the glove box Discord. So let's see if we can try to drag him down a little bit here and bring him into the booth. Hey, Ryan, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. To get a copy?
Hey, Aaron. Yeah, how are you?
Not too bad, Ryan. Well, it looks like as time is expiring here on this qualifying effort, it looks like you're going to qualify here in the pole position out there on the speedway, not only giving yourself a great run and a great opportunity to battle and race for the lead and potentially the win this afternoon, but you also earn an extra $10 brought to you by Lonnie Crider here this afternoon, man. So take us, through the qualifying lap and how you feel about being able to be the pole sitter here at Daytona International Speedway for our road course race.
Yeah, it feels really good. It's easy to do one lap with no cars on the track, right? It's just you. You can focus on your line. You don't have to pay attention to where anybody else is or be safe or anything like that. You can just kind of go for it. And, Glovebox Motorsports, we just did the 24-hour Daytona on this track and finished second in our split. So, we kind of got a good history with this track. So pretty proud of that. Shout out to my teammates. We did some practicing earlier this week. So, we all made each other better. Holder and Brad Neer and Dustin Slider. So, big shout out to them for the help. But unfortunately, I've had some run-ins the last few races. So I've got a couple of incident points that are my fault. So I am going to get an EOL. But it is nice to see that I've got the speed.
Yeah, you got the speed, you got the car, now you just got to work yourself through traffic. Now, we will have caution flags here at our stage break, so that does give you an opportunity to, reel a lot of these front runners back in, kind of draw closer to their back bumper, and try to gain a lot more positions again here. So those stages, even though you may not earn a ton of stage points, at least you can slowly but surely chip away at that gap and drive yourself potentially back here to the front of the field.
That's the goal. Yeah. Mind my P's and Q's, keep the nose clean. Hopefully my strategy here for the first stage, knowing that I had the EOL, hopefully I'll be able to still put myself in a good position for the end of the first stage. But, I just got to be clean and be safe. So appreciate Lonnie for putting up the money for the poll tonight. It's much appreciated.
Absolutely. Well, Ryan, great run, great drive. Congratulations on the pole, man, and hopefully we'll get you back up here into the broadcast booth throughout the rest of this race and maybe right up here in victory lane after the checkered flag is thrown.
Sounds great to me, man. Hopefully I can talk to you guys again tonight. Yeah, appreciate everything you do.
Absolutely, man. Good luck and have some fun.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our pole sitter here this afternoon, Ryan Campbell. So Campbell wins that pole position, man. Quick time there in qualifying. Now, you heard it from him right there. He has that pole position. He'll start, unfortunately, at the back of the pack, though. Has to deal with some previous week's incidences out there on the speedway, and unfortunately he'll pay the price for it here this afternoon. But with a fast car, a quick car, it'll be interesting to see how quickly he can work himself through traffic. What does it do to the car? Does he get damaged? Does it affect his race here? If he does get tied up or frustrated trying to move through that traffic, knowing that he's got such a good car out there on the speedway, and if he can slowly but surely try to navigate it all and see if he can find his way up towards the front and duke it out here in our final stage of the day for the race win. But you're going to watch him make that hard left-hand turn down to the apron. That will allow the rest of the field to go on by him. So our pole sitter will go to the back of the pack. That will move the inside line up. So now it'll be Sean Wilder who will start at the pole position, but he's going to move forward here off the get-go. Brandon Holder will start to the outside in position number 2. Wesley Burke in the 66 of Ben Gleason will make up a row number 2 with Brad Neer in that ortho number 16. They are in 5th, and our Daytona 500 winner, that number 14 ride, the Rigid Machine of Jack Fletcher, will start there in 6th. Starting back in 7th, it's Kevin Calkins in the 9 ride of Melvin Branco rounding our top 8. And then we do see that beautiful number 72 ride of Mr. Jonathan Gaston there in 9th. And rounding out our top 10, it is the 18 of Sean Merriman. Mark Rotingen, Grant Wesley, Nathan Brookover, Danny White, Brian Underwood, Abram Ghostin, Jordan Crider, Josh Crider, Robert Wolf in the Gorilla Garage Door, number 13. Ryan will be back in 19th, and then we will see Ryan Campbell, our pole sitter, there in 20th. Farrell Robbins, Jeremy Jeffries, and Dustin Sleitler, unfortunately, not making the initial call here as we end all the anticipation with our feature presentation. As we head down into corner number 1, so far everyone's able to make it through there nice and smoothly. No one making any huge mistakes right there, and everyone's able to keep their rides pointed in the right direction, and that's exactly what we want to see. Just good, hard, clean, green racing, no big issues, no one getting tore up as you see the 13 ride hard onto the binders. Looks like for Robert Wolf, maybe not as comfortable here at the road courses. I think we'll see that really kind of shine here this afternoon. A lot of drivers will feel really, really good. You're going to see the speed, you're going to see the experience when it comes to the road course racing out there on the racetrack. And then you'll see the other drivers that maybe don't have as many laps in, don't have as much confidence in their road course abilities, may sit a little farther deeper in the field, may run a lot more off the pace where it could play havoc for the front runners here, especially when they got to start slicing and dicing their way through lap traffic out there on the speedway. But lucky news is that there is going to be 2 stage breaks. So for these drivers, they will have opportunities here to kind of get some stage breaks, try to work on their cars, and try to make sure things are working perfectly here as they head down the back straightaway into that backstretch chicane. Nice and easy down and out of corner number 9, 10, and 11, and into corner number 12 here, which is normally corner 3 and 4 at Daytona International Speedway. But here on the road course, this is corner number 12, and for the 31, Brandon Holder, he'll lead us down and out of 12 and across the start-finish line, but a good run coming from that 09. Wesley Burke will look down to his inside, looking for the race lead, but out in front, leading the first lap of the day, it is Brandon Holder who leads that first lap, but quickly see that 09 of Burke able to work his way right on around him. So Wesley Burke now out in front, has that top spot, and he's hoping to try and run away with it. And as the action just starts to get fired off here, we're gonna we kind of missed it, but we're gonna quickly jump in. We want to make sure we get this in here for Mr. Lonnie Crider. A little pre-race fire up here from Mr. Lonnie Crider with our opening commands.
Thank you very much, and welcome for another great night of racing. You've seen the rest. Tonight you're going to see the best. So God bless America, and God bless you all out there tonight. Start those engines and let's go racing. Good luck tonight, guys.
Alrighty, shout out there to Lonnie coming in with the opening command here this afternoon. Is look out back there, the 99 of Shaw Wilder goes for a slide. Wilder goes for a slide down and out of corner number 7, and unfortunately that slide's going to cost him a lot of positions out there on the racetrack. Battling here with the 66 of Ben Gleason. This was a fight for about the 4th spot on the speedway. He sends it in there deep, unfortunately too deep. Slides are way in there. Luckily enough, does not take out Jack Fletcher, but Fletcher was very, very close to getting tied up in that. And now we see another issue, another one of our front runners, Brandon Holder, battling back for the race lead here with that 09 of Burke. He was able to take that top spot back away from him until they hit this back straightaway chicane. The 31 looks to send it in there, and I'm not sure if he gets a little helping hand here or not, but gets in there a little bit too hot, gets into the rumble strips, loses that rear end. The car goes around, and as he's pointed the wrong direction, he's got to get a loop back, pointed the right way, and unfortunately, you see how many drivers get on by him, and for Brandon Holder, who was sitting out in front, one misjudgment, one wrong move, and unfortunately now, for the 31 ride, finds himself back in the 13th position on the speedway. Sean Wilder right there behind him. We saw his mistake down into corner number 7 as he went for his power slide. Unfortunately for both drivers, fallen back a lot of spots out there on the racetrack. They'll have to try to race their way back up towards the front as you see Holder working his way around that 72 at Jonathan Gaston. The G-Man will fall back into position number 13, and now we see Robert Wolf and a few other drivers back here running into issue. So Wolf goes off the racetrack here. Let's take a look and see what happens to the 13 ride. So Wolf, a little deeper in the field. This is down into corner number 2, 3, I think. I'm not sure what one iRacing scores this as, but you see him coming out of the corner. Gets very, very loose, and unfortunately able to keep it out of any damage there, but unfortunately does lose a couple more spots out there on the racetrack. And then we watch Danny White as well. Danny White in this 64 ride battling with our pole sitter 39 Ryan Campbell right there, and Campbell putting the pressure on him, and it looks like he just overshoots that corner up and into the grass, and oh, look out, oh baby, Josh Crider just narrowly avoiding that 64 ride right there. And then we did see another issue for the 22 as well. Oh man, there's so much going on out there on the speedway. 22, virtually the same thing, dang near in the exact same tire tracks as Danny White. Misses the corner right there, gets in a little too hot, washes up and off the racing surface. Unfortunately, doesn't really lose too much back there. He's back in the 21st position as of right now, but still for Abram Ghostin, that's going to send him back a little bit more, a little farther back in the field, and that's going to be a lot more time that he's going to have to try and make up out there on the speedways. Out in front, leading lap number 2, leading lap number 3 as well. It is the 09 of Wesley Burke, as Burke out in front has this race lead, and he is feeling A-okay, but the 66 back behind him looking to chase him down. The No Luck Motorsports 66 ride of Ben Gleason, tight in tow, trying to reel in that Blue Bull 09 ride. Jack Fletcher back in third here. We know Fletcher, he likes to win at Daytona. He was able to pick up our season opener win just a few weeks ago here at the beautiful Daytona International Speedway, and I know he'd love to try to get another one here tonight and try to sweep kind of our Daytona swing of things, because he got it done on the super speedway. Can he get it done on the road course as well? So far having a pretty solid drive, sits in third. Hasn't been super quick. We haven't seen any crazy numbers out of this 14 ride. I believe his quickest lap time has been roughly about a 1:48 even out there on the racetrack, which is still about a second to 2 seconds slower than the best lap times for the drivers in front of them. So when you look at Wesley Burke and Ben Gleason, you know, they are running quite a bit quicker than that 14 ride. And unfortunately for Jack Fletcher, he continues to fall farther and farther back from them. But last time, man, that was his quickest time out there on the speedway. And for Fletcher, you know, he's only about half a second or so off the pace from our front runners here in front of him, so maybe he's got something for him. I mean, Gleason is flying, though. Gleason, last time around, laid down the quickest lap of this feature event so far, so this 66 is feeling A-okay right now on the racetrack, and he is reeling in our race leader in a quick hurry. If you're Wesley Burke and you're watching your rear view mirror, that relative, you're seeing this 66 draw in closer and closer to your back bumper, and at this point in time, you can almost hear him, you can smell him, you can feel him out there as he's inching closer and closer to your back bumper out there on the racetrack. As we'll take a look back, looks like Nathan Brookover in the 7 ride gonna run into some problems here. This is down into corner number 1 for Burke. Looks like maybe or for Brookover here, just looks like he overcooks it right there. Unfortunately, just misses the corner up and off the outside. Luckily enough, no major damage or issues there. Didn't see a whole lot of tire lockup, so probably no flat spotting there for his number 7 machine. It didn't really lose any position, so no harm, no fouls there for him, as we do see a lot of these drivers back here just trying to survive out there on the racetrack. Dustin Sleitler as well. Sleitler was out here. He was loaded into the sim, and for Dustin Sleitler, never got in on the action here this afternoon. He is still down pit side. He's not rolled out onto the racetrack and has not joined this feature event as of yet. But for Wesley Burke, he's going to lead lap number 5 out there on the racetrack. So 5 laps down here this afternoon. 50 laps of racing action left to go here in this one. So still lots of laps, still a lot of time to work yourself forward, to fall backwards, to run into issues, to rebound from problems if you're a few of those drivers that ran into those early race issues, like Brandon Holder, who's worked his way now back up into 8th. When you look a little farther back, you do see Sean Wilder. Wilder actually hasn't really moved that much farther forward here. 99's been kind of stuck back in traffic. He's right here battling with Jonathan Gastons still for about that 13th, 14th position. And for Sean Wilder, gonna wonder if there's something wrong with his race car. Did something break as he went for his slide? Did he end up getting contact there maybe with with something out there, or just locking up the tires for that long, potentially flat spotting them, and now dealing with handling issues with those flat spots on the 99 ride, and it's just affecting the drive that he had, because we're watching obviously Holder drive his way back up through the field here. Holder had just made the pass around Sean Merriman for position number 5, so Holder, who had fallen back to that 13th, 14th position, now finds himself back up inside the top 5 after really only what has been 5 laps, not even 4 laps of racing action, and here he is regaining about those 8-9 spots that he lost out there on the racetrack, and trying to reel in back to our race leader Wesley Burke to see if he can try to put himself back out in front. But Burke and Gleason, man, they've been shot out of a cannon. They are absolutely flying out there on the speedway. Jack Fletcher, they were in 3rd, doing a great job. Unfortunately though, he's about 3.3 seconds off our race leader's back bumper, and he's got a good gap between himself and the cars behind him here. He's got almost 9 seconds. That number 6 rider, Brian Underwood, as Underwood's gained 15 spots, started all the way back in 19th. Underwood's been driving through the field. He's now up and into that 4th position, but we're starting to see more drivers come down pit road here, so some making that early pit stop, and unfortunately for some, it may cost you, because for the 31 ride, a Brandon Holder, we were just talking about him, man. He was out in front. He led the first lap. He was leading down the back straightaway into that chicane. Went around, lost about 9 spots up there on the racetrack, had gained a ton of those back inside the top 5. Makes this early pit stop, but unfortunately for the 31 machine, he is gotten a black flag. He will be held down pit side, and unfortunately that hold will cost him a lot here this afternoon. Now all depends on how much he was speeding. Could be 30 seconds, could be a 1-minute hold. Unfortunately, nonetheless, it's gonna just hurt his chances here all afternoon long. Now lucky break is that there is still our stage breaks, and for how big this racetrack is, he should keep himself on the lead lap, so that at least is a good thing. Now, the only thing that will hurt him is the loss of track position. He's got to regain a ton of track position out there on the racetrack, which could potentially be very, very harmful for his car and his chances of battling back here this evening. But for Wesley Burke, he's out in front. He's still feeling A-okay. He's going to run at least another lap. He's not coming down pit side as of yet, as we'll continue to see kind of some of that pit strategy. I think a lot of those drivers just knew that if they kind of came down pit road there on lap 6, lap 7-ish area, that, it kind of splits the stage. They're good to go to lap 15. I think all these other drivers, including our race leaders, Wesley Burke and Ben Gleason, Jack Fletcher, they're going to have to come down pit road. They're going to have to pit here before the end of this first stage, which, isn't really necessarily bad. It's always fun. It's interesting, and it can create some craziness with those penalties down pit road. But for our race leaders, you just want to make sure you get a good pit stop in. Don't make any mistakes. Hopefully you can get down, make your stop, get back out there, and not give up too much where you lose a ton of positions on the speedway. But even for the 09 of Wesley Burke, for Ben Gleason, even for Jack Fletcher, who's back in 3rd, as you take a look back there at the 7 of Brookover. Oh no, Brookover overcooks corner number 1 again. I don't know if this one's just sneaking up on him, but he's going to get into a tire lockup here as he's coming in a whole heap too fast, and unfortunately can't avoid running into those tire barriers there separating corner 1 and corner number 7, that infield circuit here at Daytona Road Course. And unfortunately for the 7 ride, gives it a little bit of a kiss right there. Gets rolling, gets going here again, and rejoins the action. But unfortunately, those mistakes can prove very, very costly. And this time, though, he got a little lucky, man. That could have been a whole lot worse. That could have been night over and game ender there for that 7 ride. But luckily enough, able to keep it going here this evening as Burke going to lead lap number 8 as well. Quick lap number 8 off the board. As Burke continues to lead the way, Ben Gleason, though, still sticking right there with him, man. Gleason is not letting him out of his eyesight. Jack Fletcher is right there as well, kind of lurking in the weeds, as we do see our 4th place driver, Brian Underwood, finally making his way down pit road. Here comes Kevin Calkins as well down pit side. Sean Wilder will make his first pit stop as... Ooh, baby, this is going to be interesting. I think pit strategy is going to be really, really fun. It's going to be really cool to see kind of how drivers are going to play these stages and everything else, and whether or not you want to try to flip them, try to put yourself into a better position, as I feel a lot of these drivers that haven't pitted yet are going to try to go as far as they can. And if they can make it to somewhere around lap number 10, maybe lap 11 on this fuel run, then come down pit side, make your pit stop. Hopefully you keep yourself out in front of these guys or keep yourself in a good position that you still end up with some good stage points here in this first stage of racing action. And then obviously if you can go that long, you don't have to come back down pit side where all these other drivers will have to make another pit stop probably here at the end of the stage. And I think that's going to be the really big question here for a lot of these guys is, do you run till that lap 10, 11 kind of deal? You know, lap 15, that stage is going to come out where everyone that's making these earlier pit stops are more than likely going to come back down pit road, make another pit stop, so they can go a little bit farther, or at least run their 7, 8 laps in stage number 2, where if you run only 5 stage laps, then should be good to go to the end of the stage. Maybe you can kind of flip it and have it work into your favor, but we'll have to wait and see how that strategy plays out, as we do see Wesley Burke is going to make his way down pit side here on lap number 9, so that will forfeit the race lead over to the 66 of Ben Gleason. So Gleason now out in front. So Ben Gleason has the top spot. He now leads the way. Jack Fletcher is in position number 2. Grant Wesley sticking out there. Mark Rotingen will have to wait and see what the Exalta 24 ride decides he wants to do, as we do see Brian Underwood able to complete his stop. He's back rolling out there on the racetrack, and for the 6th ride, he's currently scored in that 6th position. And for our pole sitter, the driver we talked to prior to the start of this race and talked about kind of that strategy and trying to race his way up through the field and through the traffic and everything else, and so far, it looks like it's playing really, really nicely into his favor because he's got the speed. He qualified in that pole position. Unfortunately, had to go to the tail end of the field here. Now he's still a long ways away from our race leader, but the stage break will eliminate that 48 seconds between him and Ben Gleason, plus Gleason, Fletcher, Wesley, Mark Rotingen all still have to make their way down pit side, so it could potentially move Ryan Campbell into a picture where he might be able to earn a top 6, top 5 run here in stage number 1, which would be a crazy comeback for him, man. Obviously, starting on the pole, that's a huge confidence booster, and obviously having a fast hot rod helps a ton as well. And for Ryan Campbell, he's hoping that he can use it all here to his favor, race his way up here, still earn some decent stage points, and then be right tight to the rest of the field here for stage number 2 and see if he can jump up there and battle for that stage win. As here we go, Ben Gleason heads down pit side. Here comes Jack Fletcher as well, so our first and second place drivers make their way down pit road. When does Grant Wesley come down pit side? Will he make a pit stop here? Can he go a little bit farther? We'll see what the 88 machine has up his sleeve, and it looks like he's going to make that hard left-hand turn, and he's also heading back down pit side, so that will end up giving the race lead over, for the most part, should go back to Wesley Burke as Gleason's just leaving pit road. It could be tight here off pit lane. Oh, I think the 09 just has that momentum. And I believe, yeah, it's definitely going to be Wesley Burke out in front here. Has that top spot. He's going to have a decent gap between himself and Ben Gleason. Jack Fletcher, though, will come back out in third, so he's sitting A-OK out there on the racetrack. But for the 24, Mark Rotingen, he's going to stay a little bit longer. Now, we do see obviously we saw Wesley down there as well. Now here comes a big gaggle of cars. He's going to end up making contact there with that pit wall, just trying to get out here, trying to make that corner as quick as possible and not give up too much time there to those drivers. Unfortunately, he will fall outside the top 10 right there, as we see. I believe that's Josh Crider, Sean Wilder, Brad Neer, the 11 rider Kevin Calkins rounding out our top 10 there on the racetrack. And for Grant Wesley just on the outside looking in. And for Wesley Burke, he's out in front, leading the way. He's got 2.6 seconds now between himself and Ben Gleason. Jack Fletcher's back there in third. Roten Jen, I believe, still has to make a pit stop here. He's going to be running on fumes in this 24 ride. We'll have to wait and see where he going to stacks up after his green flag pit stop. But for Brian Underwood, for Brian Underwood, he's back there in fifth. If the 24 does come down pit road, he will work his way up and into fourth. And for Ryan Campbell, he should work his way up inside our top 5 out there on the racetrack. Incredible comeback here for Ryan Campbell after having to give up that pole position, go to the rear of the field on our initial start, and be able to race his way up in stage 1 inside the top 5 would be absolutely incredible. As we do see, Roten Jen makes his way down pit road. So the Exalta ride finally makes his pit stop here on lap number 11, while completing lap number 11 out there on the racetrack. So if that's the number, if you can go 11 laps, man, oh, man, it'd be such an interesting strategy to see if somebody would kind of pull that card of, running here until lap number 11 and then not pitting during that stage break, where we're going to see probably everybody come down pit road during that stage break, and then virtually doing exactly what we saw in the early pit stops here this afternoon. When you look back at Josh Crider, Brad Neer, a lot of these guys that are, mid-pack, even when you look at Ryan Campbell, was down pit side on lap number 6. Maybe you kind of pull that same strategy where you run 4 laps here to finish off stage number 1, stay out on the racetrack, don't pit during the stage break, and then kind of, pick on lap 6 virtually of stage number 2 and trying to do the same thing that those guys behind you are doing right now with the speedways. We do see a couple more drivers running into some issues out there on the racetrack. As we're going to take a look back here, it looks like Sean Merriman in that Metallica Dr. Pepper number 18 ride, going to send it in there. Gets a little tire lock up, rear end going to kick out and round on there through the grass. Gets a little sideways there, luckily enough able to keep it rolling and get back onto that throttle. And then we did see Jordan Crider here as well in the Lonnie Crider, a Lonnie number 33 ride, kind of threw that back straightaway chicane, and it looks like he's just going to hit it a little too hard right there. Car does a little bit of a hop, jump, and a skip, unfortunately loses the rear end, and for that Mazda Ford goes around in a quick hurry, able to get rolling, though. It doesn't really look like he lost any positions out there on the racetrack, maybe one, as I believe Brookover may have been able to get back around him here, but for the most part, at least it was not a ton of damage there for that number 33 machine. As we keep on watching, we keep on lurking here. Let's take a look here at the 11 ride who was in this battle, and it looks like Kevin Calkins is going to end up getting some off-track issues here himself. Let's take a look at it. Down into corner number 7, sends it in there too deep. Oh, he sent it in there way too deep. Heavy contact with the tire barriers down and out of corner number 7, and you can see that this car is hurt. Looks like broken toe link, broken right front as well. That front end suspension absolutely busted up, but you can see this car is no longer pointing in the right direction. It is crab walking here on the speedway, and unfortunately for Kevin Calkins, he's going to have to take this thing down pit side and try to get it fixed up. Now we do see Sean Merriman also back down pit road here as well, so Merriman's down pit side again on the speedway, and you do see Calkins down there. Looks like he's going to use his quick repair and look to get himself back out there onto the speedway. Now, luckily enough for both those drivers, they should be able to keep themselves on the lead lap here, and for anyone that is a lap down, when we look back here, I believe it's Abram Ghostin right now who is in the lucky dog position. I believe he is the first driver 1 lap down out there on the racetrack. So with the stage coming to a close, he may be in line to get that lucky dog. He's just got to get lucky enough that, hopefully the 7 ride or the 33, none of these guys kind of lose a lap out here over the next couple laps on the speedway. But oh man, he might be in danger because our race leader is not too far behind him here. Jordan Crider, Nathan Brookover are not too far away from seeing our race leader right on their back bumper, and still with virtually, a lap and a half left here at Daytona. It's going to be a very clear risk that he may get around not only just Jordan Crider, but maybe Nathan Brookover here. Put both these drivers a lap down on the speedways. There you go. You're going to watch Jordan Crider move up the racetrack, allow our race leader go by. So for Jordan Crider, he now moves into the lucky dog position on the racetrack. Next driver up is the 7 ride of Nathan Brookover, pushing it hard out there on the racetrack to try to stay on the lead lap and to stay in this action here this afternoon. Now, good news is that there is at least another 5 seconds forward until you run into Kevin Calkins and Jeremy Jeffries out there on the racetrack, so may not fall too far out of that free pass spot. But if you are Jordan Crider now, if you are Abram Ghostin, Robert Wolf, Danny White, that potentially those lucky dogs are no longer in the picture. And it looks like for Danny White, he's took in the 64 ride off the speedway. It looks like he ran only 6 laps of racing action, took it down pit side and left it down pit side, and has not come back in onto the racetrack. So it looks like Danny White's day may be over, and for the 13 ride, he's going to go for another loop-de-loop here. Been a bit of a rough go there for the 13 rider Robert Wolf, but he's going to get it pointed back in the right direction, keep on rolling, and he'll try to keep himself in this battle. But unfortunately for the 13 ride, he does find himself now already at least a lap down. Actually, I think he might be closer to 2 laps down out there on the racetrack, but I think only 1 lap down as of now. But he's definitely had his fair share of issues out there on the racetrack. And now we did see Sean Merriman run into some more issues as well. So Sean's been going through the ringer, and it looks like for Mr. Merriman, not so merry, as he's going to have another issue, and it looks like he's going to take his car down behind pit road here in pit lane and off the racetrack. So it looks like for the Metallica Dr. Pepper number 18 ride, some issues here late in this first stage, and here he goes, sends it into corner number 1, too deep, sees about to run into that wall, and then he's going to do a couple loop-de-loops, and eventually I think he's finally going to come to a stop here. And then he's going to tow this thing down pit side and off of the racing surface and back behind pit wall and potentially done for the day. But out in front and looking to win stage number 1, it's Wesley Burke. Burke out in front and nice and easy down this back straightaway into that backstretch chicane. He'll lead by 3.5 seconds over Ben Gleason. Jack Fletcher, the driver who was supposed to be our pole sitter, had to take that EOL to start this race. Ryan Campbell up and into 4th here. Brian Underwood rounding out our top 5. Sean Wilder, Josh Crider, Grant Wesley, Brad Neer, and Mark Rotingen rounding out our top 10 out there on the speedway, as Wesley Burke down and across the line will pick up stage win number 1 here this evening. So our first stage will go to the 09 ride. Ben Gleason will come home in 2nd, with Jack Fletcher there in 3rd. Ryan Campbell, looks like he's going to have no problems down through the infield here. And looks like for the 39 will come home in 4th. Brian Underwood right there through that tri-oval will come home in 5th. A little farther behind, here comes that 99 rider, Sean Wilder. Decent rebound here after his earlier issues, and it looks like he's rebounded nicely. It looks like he'll finish this stage off in that 6th position, as the 33 ride of Jordan Crider. Looks like he's going to have some more issues here. What in the world? What in the world just happened here to Crider? Okay, this is way earlier. Crider's issues here. This is here at the start-finish line. I don't know what was going on here, but the stage was coming to a close for Jordan Crider. I don't know if something just finally broke in this car, but you see the thing just shoot down to the infield, and then it hooks back up the racetrack. Hard contact into that outside fence right at the start finish line. And for the 33 machine, that is a ton of damage on that car, and unfortunately that's just going to hurt his day even more as the caution flag finally is displayed as our stage will come to a close. But you see Sean Wilder back in the 6th position, Josh Crider rounding out our top 7, Grant Wesley back in 8th, Brad Neer there in 9th, and Mark Rotingen rounding out our top 10 out there on the speedway. But out in front and winning the first stage of the day, it is Wesley Burke, man. Burke picks up the first stage win of this afternoon, and we'll get ready to pull him and the rest of all these drivers potentially right back down pit road, and we'll see if we can pull our race or our stage winner up here into the booth, winning that first stage of the day, man. Obviously a lot of bonus points into his back pocket to help him out, not only for the playoff hunt, but maybe some extra playoff points to carry along with it. Let's see if we can get Burke up and into the booth here. Alrighty. Hey, Wesley, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. To get a copy?
Yeah, hey.
Wesley, man, great run, great drive so far, man. Congratulations on winning the first stage of the day here at Daytona, brother. Take us back through it and what's kind of going through your mind after what seemed to be some pretty decent racing out there on the speedway.
Yeah, I feel kind of bad for Holder. I don't know exactly what happened, but I know he braked a little earlier than I did. There was no contact, but I locked him up, and then he ended up spinning. I don't know if he had to get off the brake, and that caused him to spin or what, but other than that, it's just been trying to hold off Ben, and then I pit a lap earlier and gained like 1.5 seconds on that cycle, so I didn't have to worry about the draft anymore, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Breaking far enough away from him that he's not able to stick right there with you on the racetrack and drafting off your back bumper out there. But obviously that earlier issue for Brandon Holder, we took a look back at it. It seemed like obviously he was feeling that pressure from your front bumper and sent it into that back straightaway chicane. Looked like he kind of hit that second corner of it a little bit too hard, and the car just got into a weird hop, lost that rear end, and ended up going around there on him. And a tough break for Holder. He's looking to try to bounce back, but another car that seemed to be really, really fast qualified in the pole position. That 39 rider Ryan Campbell, only a few spots. Yeah, he's only a few spots back from you now, man. You think you got anything for him? You think you got enough to keep these guys at bay and try to put yourself right back up here after stage number 2?
Oh no.
Well, hey, at least you're truthful and honest, brother. That's what we love, and we love seeing great hard racing. Hopefully we get to see a lot more of that here in the second stage of the day as well. I'm just seeing you guys have some fun out there on the road course here as well, man. But congratulations on winning the first stage here at Daytona road course this afternoon, man, and hopefully we'll get you back up here in the booth at the end of the night.
Hopefully.
Good luck out there, though. Have some fun, and hopefully, as I said, we'll get you back up here in just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for Mr. Wesley Burke, our Stage 1 winner, as Burke is able to pick up that Stage 1 win, man. Great run, great drive there for him. Obviously, he had some pressure. He had Brandon Holder with him. He had Ben Gleason there with him. He was able to do all the right things at the right time to put himself up and into the first stage win of the day. And now you get to hear, you heard it from him there first. He didn't seem too confident when he took a look at that relative, saw that Ryan Campbell was all the way up and into position number 4 there at the end of that stage. You kind of heard that, he was, he knew that 39 Ryan has something under the hood that he's going to be potentially the car to beat this afternoon. And after even starting at the rear of the field, 39 Ryan is, slice and dice his way up there. And now after a good pit stop here at the end of this stage, Ryan Campbell is going to restart in position number 3 on the speedway. So for Ryan Campbell, he's right back into it. He's right back into the action here at the front of the field. We'll see if he can jump up there and battle with Burke and Gleason for the top 2 spots here on the racetrack. He's going to have Brian Underwood, our 2-time champion, back there with him in position number 4. Jack Fletcher, unfortunately, it looked like Fletcher lost a couple spots there during that pit stop, and unfortunately for the 14, falls back into 5th. Sean Wilder there in 6th with Grant Wesley, Josh Crider, Brad Neer, and Mark Rotingen, our top 10, getting ready to go back to Green Flag Racing in just a couple more moments, as Brandon Holder in the 31 will restart back in 11th. Melvin Brengruer, Kevin Calkins, Jeremy Jeffries back in 14th. The 72 with Jonathan Gaston will restart in 15th, with Farrell Robbins back in 16th. Nathan Brookover in, I do believe, the 17th position. I believe for Brookover, he got the lucky dog, the free pass back on the lead lap. So great break there for Brookover, getting himself back into the action here this afternoon. And it looks like for the 22 of Abram Ghostin, he's looking for the wave around here, the free pass back on the lead lap himself. And that, if that should move him back onto the lead lap, back into the action here this evening for Robert Wolf. Though, unfortunately for Wolf, he is still scored back here in the 19th spot, still at least 1 lap down out there on the racetrack for the 13 ride, and it's going to be tough to rebound from that. You do see Jordan Crider as well a little farther back here. Now, he's gotten his car repaired, which is great news for that Lonnie ride, that he's able to get this thing fixed back up and back out there. Unfortunately, can't say the same for Sean Merriman, Danny White, or Dustin Sleitler, who's yet to join this race in that 15 ride. But for Merriman and Danny White, it looks like they've both ended their nights early here, taking their cars off the racetrack, back down behind pit wall, and it looks like they're going to be done for the day. But we'll get them all ready to rumble here again, ready to go back to battle in just a couple more moments for what is going to be another very, very interesting stage. Obviously, this one's going to be a little bit shorter. This is going to feel a little bit more like a shootout than a stage, honestly, because obviously the lights are still on the official iRacing pace car there, that beautiful Porsche out in front of the field. The lights are still on it, so that means we're still 1 lap to go here before we go back to Green Flag Racing. They should turn off this time by the start-finish line. You're going to see a few drivers making that call, making their way back down pit road. Maybe they have a little something up their sleeve. Maybe they can save enough fuel. Maybe they feel they can make it to the end of this stage without having to make that green flag pit stop. So we'll have to wait and see if that does work into their favor. But for obviously the 22 ride, there he goes. He's able to get that wave around. So great break for Abram Ghostin, as that will at least get him a lap back and back on the lead lap this afternoon. So that will put him right back into the thick of things. But obviously he's going to have to pit a little sooner than most drivers. He's going to have a little bit older tires as well, and he'll be back there deeper in the field and be a tough battle. It'll be an uphill climb for him, but at least back at the lead lap, that's one good first step here to trying to get yourself a better finish. But for all these other drivers, they get stacked up 2 by 2 by 2 once again, getting ready for our first restart of the evening, as our only caution flags out there on the racetrack will be for our stage breaks here this evening. For any other incident out there on the speedway, no yellow flag. So if you run into major problems like some of these drivers that we've seen, unfortunately, you're just going to have to try to limp it back down pit side, or you'll have to tow it down pit road. Unfortunately, you're not going to get a yellow flag to help you out and save you out there on the racetrack. So you really got to mind your P's and Q's. Can't make any mistakes out there on the racetrack and put yourself into a hole that you can't dig yourself out of. And with it being this early, though, still in the race, with still another stage break on the horizon, if you do have an issue, it's still early, that you can battle your way back. You can get back into the action as long as you start that final stage, I believe, on the lead lap. You really have yourself a chance and an opportunity to try and win here this afternoon. But for Wesley Burke, Wesley is out in front. He's got that top spot. He's hoping for a big restart here, but he's also hoping to try to run away from Gleason and Ryan Campbell. Fletcher's right there ready to pounce. And you do take a look here, the couple yellow rides out there, that 88 machine of Grant Wesley right there now in that 5th position. Josh Crider's up there as well. The outside there, row number 3. Great to see Josh having a good run. He's up there trying to poke his nose inside the top 5. And then you take a look at Brad Neer and Brandon Holder back up into 8 for Holder. So let's wait and see if he can work his way through there. What does Sean Wilder have up his sleeve? We saw him up towards the front before his mistakes early in this race. Can the High Velocity Racing 99 ride kind of navigate his way back up there? He's going to have the 6 that he might be able to use to kind of work his way through there. If Brian Underwood works his way back up to the front, it'll work out for the 99 right as well. Maybe you can kind of just follow him right on through and work his way into the action again at the front of the pack. As Wesley Burke, though, Burke about to see that green flag fly here again this afternoon. As all these drivers will see the official iRacing pace car make that hard left-hand turn back down pit side. For Burke, Gleason, Ryan Campbell, Jack Fletcher, all these other drivers, they are ready to get back after it. And we did see one on the apron here. Jeremy Jeffries. Looks like he's coming right back down pit side here. So maybe a little strategy out of the one. Ryan Pitton as we go back to green flag racing. And that's going to be an interesting call. Maybe it's just knowing that he's going to have to make that extra stop, and maybe he feels that was the one lap he needed to come down here. But here we go. 09, good run, slides up, just clears that 66 of Gleason. He needed that, but right there with them, here comes that 39 rider, Ryan Campbell. Campbell hits his marks. He's right there to the back bumper of the 09 of Wesley Burke. Burke is going to have to try to do everything he can to keep Ryan Campbell back there at bay, as Campbell will probably sit here and trying to figure out where and when he can make his move, when he may want to take that shot to steal this top spot away from the 09 ride. But you can see him driving in there a little bit deeper. He's a little bit smoother on the brakes. Man, obviously a lot of laps running that Daytona 24-hour race, and having so many practice laps here at this speedway. It's not only just the cars that make a big difference, but it's the track knowledge in the braking whereabouts and where you can push and not push the race cars out there. And obviously for Ryan Campbell, he's got that figured out, man. Quick time in qualifying. He's made up, a ton of positions after getting an EOL, having to start at the rear of the field to start this race. Even after winning that pole position, he raced his way all the way up for a 4th place run there in stage number 1. And now in 2nd, looking to try to make the move around, Wesley Burke for position number 1 here on the speedway. What an incredible run, an incredible drive it has been already for Ryan Campbell. But I don't know, man. He may have his hands full trying to figure out, Wesley Burke. Obviously, he made quick work there with Ben Gleason and Jack Fletcher, but they're not too far away as well. They start battling here door to door for position number 1 on the speedway. Fletcher and Gleason might catch up to them in a quick hurry to duke it out with them. And then here we go. We see the 31 of Brandon Holder has worked his way now around Josh Crider and Brad Neer, and has worked that 31 back inside the top 5 out there on the speedway. So Holder's looking to rejoin the fun here at the front of the pack. Where's Sean Wilder? Wilder's back in 10th. We'll have to wait and see if he can find a little something here as well. As we did see Ryan Underwood off racetrack. Oh no, so the 6th ride of Underwood. Oh, gets in there, gets that little bit of right front brake lockup right there. Goes for a slide, goes down through the grass. Has to, quickly find an access road right there. He's able to find one and get rolling, but not after losing a few positions out there on the racetrack. It falling back quite a ways, and unfortunately that's going to hurt his run here in stage number 2. Now we did see Brookover again running into another issue as well, as Brookover has overcooked corner 1 here a few times already this afternoon, and it looks like this time he gets in there and he carried a little too much speed again, but gets onto the binders. Checks it up, just a little, maybe too much brake bias there going to the rear brakes, and unfortunately locks him up and just kind of kicks out that rear end, goes for a bit of a slide, a loop-de-loop, and gets pointed back in the right direction, keeps on rolling here, but does lose a couple spots out there on the racetrack. As we do see Wesley Burke. Oh no, looks like Burke may have gotten a yellow flag here. down the back straightaway. Looks like Burke may have ran into some issues. He's going to have to slow down, and as he does, that's going to give the race lead to Jack Campbell. So here on lap number 21, Campbell leads the lap. So let's take a look here. Right here, we're going to watch this number 09 right of Burke. Goes through this back straightaway chicane, and right there, misses those chicanes. You got to keep the car to the left-hand side of these inside chicanes. So he hits the first one nicely, but carrying too much speed, doesn't find the line up here for that second chicane. Goes too far to the right. That's cutting the racetrack, and then doesn't rejoin again, so virtually cuts two portions of it as he cuts there as well. And for the 09 of Wesley Burke, that gives you a yellow flag. That is a hold-up flag. That is a hold-up, roll out of the throttle, and give up the time that you may have gained from cutting that race course. And unfortunately, it was enough that he gave up the race lead and gave it to Ryan Campbell. As last time around, Ryan Campbell laid the quickest lap of this race. Now, it was a really, really tight battle as the pace at the front of the field has picked up a ton. So Campbell laid the quickest lap. Obviously, Wesley Burke's lap didn't count with that penalty down through that back straightaway chicane, but for Brandon Holder, he was only 4/100ths off that quick time of Ryan Campbell. So that is just absolutely incredible. Both running a 1:46.5 second lap time. It comes down to the 100ths of a second there, and man, that's crazy, crazy fast times that these guys are laying down. And now we do see Josh Crider running into issues here as well. Lap 22, let's take a look at that beautiful Season 2 champion as, just gets into the grass there before that little bit of a cut, and unfortunately gets up and off the track there a little bit. Luckily enough, hangs onto it, keeps it rolling, no big mistakes, and no loss of position. He'll keep on battling as we do see Ryan Campbell, after getting the race lead, he's going to come down pit road and give it up. Okay, so definitely some very interesting pit strategies here this afternoon, to say the least. And for the 39 ride, he's going to make another earlier pit stop over everybody else. And that is going to really, line things up here for a crazy ending to this stage, because there's going to be a few drivers that may be able to make it on fuel. It'll be interesting to see kind of where he comes out in comparison to those guys and how much time he may have to gain to try to catch up to those drivers as well, because there's a lot of them that are kind of trying to play that little bit of a strategy here. When we look back at Sean Wilder, he was back down pit road on lap number 18. So was Brengerer, Mark Rothengen, Jonathan Gaston, Farrell Robbins, obviously the 6th rider, Brian Underwood. They all came down and made that additional pit stop there the second time past the pit lane. And for our front runners, they did not take that opportunity. They stayed on the racetrack, and virtually everyone inside of our top 8 on the speedway did not make that additional lap. So they need to run virtually 13 laps here in this run, where these other drivers that made that extra lap, maybe they're only going to go 12 laps here throughout this run to make sure that they're good on fuel to get to the checkered flag, the green and white checkered flag here to end this stage. So that'll be interesting. As here comes Gleason. Van Gleason's going to head down pit road, as it does give the race lead back over to Wesley Burke. And we saw what happened last time. Burke and Holder were tight together. Obviously, there was no contact, but they were tight. They were not going to give it up easily, and obviously a little bit of an overcook down through that back straightaway chicane for the 31. Ended a good run in that first stage, put him back deep in the field, didn't really earn the stage points that he probably could have. And for Brandon Holder, looking to try to battle once again here for this top position on the speedway, and trying to steal it again back away from Wesley Burke as he'll continue to battle out there on the racetrack. So we did see Brengerer down pit road, Jonathan Gaston, Farrell Robbins, they all make pit stops here. Oh, hey, this is going to get fun. This is going to get interesting. As here we go. You do see that 39 rider, Ryan Campbell. He was our race leader. He was the first one to make this second green flag pit stop. The first one in stage number 2. And for that Ally Chevrolet, Number 39, Ryan Campbell, he's about to work his way back inside the top 10 if he can make that pass on the 6 of Brian Underwood. Underwood will try to keep him back there at base. I think for Underwood, this is his strategy kind of going up in flames if 39 Ryan gets around him, because I think he's trying to stretch the fuel, trying to make it on fuel here in this second stage, and without having to make that additional green flag pit stop, may leapfrog him far enough forward that maybe he can steal the stage win. But Ryan Campbell right there sniffing on his back bumper. It's going to get a whole lot tougher here for Brian Underwood to be able to complete that goal. And now we do see, oh man, Brookover's going to run into some more issues here. He's down through a little bit of the infield access route right there, and able to finally get it back onto the racing surface and get rolling there again. But Brookover's ran into some more issues. Now we do see Kevin Calkins down pit road. Here comes Brad Neer as well as Josh Crider. Looks like we'll see Brandon Holder down pit side as well. So Holder and Jack Fletcher also make their way down pit side. So some more pit stops here on lap number 24, lap 25. Now we've completed 24 laps. We're on our 25th lap. We're inching closer and closer to the end of our second stage of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Our second stage clicking off the board here in a quick hurry. Wesley Burke, though, out in front. Grant Wesley, they're in position number 2 again on the speedway. The 99 to Sean Wilder runs in third. And we do see Mark Rothengen, Brian Underwood, Ryan Campbell still right there behind him in position number 6 as of now on the speedway. But for Underwood, are you good on fuel? Can you make it? And can you hold these guys up? And even if he is holding up that 39 of Ryan Campbell, Campbell really can't wait any longer, because he's got Jack Fletcher, Brandon Holder, and soon to be Ben Gleason right there on his back bumper, which could make it a very tight battle for the race lead here at the end of this stage, as I'm sure we'll still see Burke, Grant Wesley, Shaw Wilder, Mark Rothengen potentially all back down pit road. Underwood may still have to make that additional pit stop as well, and unfortunately he will see that 39 get around him here. So for 39 machine of Ryan Campbell, he's got no more time to wait. He's got to go, but unfortunately, as he starts to go, he makes the same mistake we saw out of Burke early here in this second stage. Looks like he is going to make the mistake here, gets in tight into that first chicane. The car just kind of plateaus, flattens out, and right here, misses that second chicane with all 4 tires below that rumble strip. Unfortunately, that will give him a whole penalty where he's going to have to roll out of the throttle, and it looks like he ends up having to at least give up 1 spot, maybe even 2 spots out there on the racetrack, as looks like Fletcher is able to get around him. He's able to get that spot back away from Brian Underwood, but it does move Jack Fletcher just in front of Ryan Campbell out there on the speedway. But you gotta be wondering, kind of what the strategy calls are going to be and how they may play out for drivers like Wesley Burke and Grant Wesley, because they are going to have to make additional pit stops here in this stage. I don't think they can make it the rest of the way without making a pit stop here on the speedway. And for Sean Wilder, Mark Rothengen, obviously they were able to come back down pit road a lap later than our race leaders back on lap number 18. Maybe that gave them just enough fuel, just enough hope that they don't have to make another, late race pit stop out there and potentially give up what could be a big stage win for them out there on the racetrack. But we do see back in 5th, it is that 14 of Jack Fletcher. Ryan Campbell back in position number 6. Brandon Holder's there in 7th as Underwood, who I think is trying to not only save tires, but also trying to save a little bit of fuel out there on the racetrack. We'll now see Ben Gleason get by him, and for Underwood, he will fall back into the 9th position on the racetrack with Brad Neer rounding out our top 10. Back at 11th, it is Josh Crider. Then we do see Kevin Calkins in the 11th, the 9 of Melvin Branguer, the 72 of Jonathan Gaston. Tight battle back here for that 12th, 13th, and 14th position. as we do see Grant Wesley finally making his way down pit road. So for Grant Wesley, he makes his pit stop, and unfortunately, he's going to lose a ton of positions here in a quick hurry. Drivers are going to work their way back around the 88 Ryan. He'll get a splash of gas and go, and hope that he can hang on to a half-decent run here in this second stage. But it does look like he's going to fall outside the top 10 just by a position or two. So we'll have to wait and see if anyone else that pits in front of him will make a mistake and potentially work Grant Wesley right back into the top 10 for some stage points here this evening. But for Wesley Burke, Sean Wilder, Mark Rotingen, they sit 1, 2, and 3 out there on the speedway. Jack Fletcher is back in position number 4 with Ryan Campbell right there with them. And there you see Brandon Holder in that 6th position. Ben Gleason not too far back, just hanging out back here just inside our top 8 on the racetrack as Underwood now inside the top 8 here with Josh Crider back in 9th as he's worked his way up and into that 9th position, getting his way around Ranier on the speedway. So for the 5 rider, Josh Crider finding some speed, starting to pick it up, trying to race his way up towards the front of the pack here. Now here we go. Here comes Burke. All right, Wesley Burke finally has to make his way down pit road, needs that fuel. Let's see how quick they can make this stop. Will they go with just a quick splash of gas and roll on out and hope that it's enough to put yourself maybe into a winning strategy? Or what is the game plan here for this beautiful 0-9 ride? Is Sean Wilder, see if he's going to work his way down pit road or keep on rolling here as well. Looks like he's going to keep on rolling as we'll jump right on board with the 24 ride. Get a quick little look here at the inside portion of the Daytona International Speedway. Alrighty, through this back straightaway chicane, the 99 ride. Holding on here, trying to keep this 24 back there at bay, but a great run out of that chicane for Mark Rotingen. Rotingen will work his way to the outside here with Sean Wilder for the race lead, and Sean Wilder looks like he may be lining up to come down pit road here. Looks like he is not, as he will stay out, but the big question mark will be for these two drivers. They got 2 more laps left to go here in this stage. Not only do they have to pick up the pace here to try to keep the other guys back there at bay, but they also have to maybe try to save a little bit of fuel out there on the racetrack. This is going to be really tough for them to do, to keep them back there behind them, but also try to save some gas out there on the racetrack as well. So for Mark Rotingen, Sean Wilder, they may be sitting ducks and now running into that lap traffic. The 39 rider Ryan Campbell's looking to take advantage of it, as here comes Campbell trying to work his way not only around Jack Fletcher but around that 99 of Sean Wilder for position number 2. And look at the battle here at the front of the field, as obviously for Rotingen and Wilder, they may still have to make additional pit stops here at the end of this race, but for the 39er Ryan Campbell, Brandon Holder, Jack Fletcher, Wesley Burke, they are all good on fuel, as you see the 31 and the 09 push it far down into corner number 7. Both luckily enough able to keep themselves rolling there, making no contact with those tire barriers, and able to keep on fighting. But for Mark Rotingen, he's out in front. He's still got the top spot. Ryan Campbell wants to take it away. He wants to win this stage. And for our pole sitter this afternoon, an incredible comeback after having to serve an EOL at the start of the race and picking up all these positions, earning a good stage points in stage number 1 to win stage number 2, I think is his main goal. But I don't know if he realized that he was going to have drivers like Jack Fletcher, Brandon Holder, Wesley Burke, and then you throw in some of these drivers that are stretching the fuel out like Mark Rotingen, which unfortunately looks like he's not going to be able to make it any farther. He may be able to flip the stage, though. Maybe still trying to give himself a good starting spot at the start of our final stage of the day. It looks like he will come down pit road here on lap number 29. Now for Sean Wilder, unfortunately, he's going to fall back into about the 6th position, as you do see Ben Gleason now battling here with Wesley Burke for position number 4 on the racetrack. Looks like Burke may edge out in front. Looks like he'll clear that number 66, but Gleason may try to battle back for it. As out in front, it is this 39 rider, Ryan Campbell, who once again takes over the race lead. He's got about 6, almost 7/10 of a second between himself and Jack Fletcher. Brandon Holder's back there in 3rd, but they're all in tow, and they're all trying to track down this Ally Chevrolet. As Ryan Campbell able to work his way back to the front of the field here, and we are only half a lap away from completing our 2nd stage of the day. And for the 39 ride, and he's going to be pretty pumped, man. This has been a great drive and a great performance for him. I know he's going to want to try to finish this one off and put himself up and into victory lane here this evening. But obviously, being able to win that pole position, put a little extra money into his back pocket, brought to you by Mr. Lonnie Crider. As Crider came in with a little bit of his own money on the line here for our pole sitter this afternoon, and for some extra bonus money over the next 2 races as well. Huge shout out there to Lonnie Crider. And for the 39 rider, Ryan Campbell, he was going to be bumped up because that was an extra $10 tonight in that pole position for him to qualify out in front that he'll get to add to his bank account here tonight. So for Ryan Campbell, that's a great break for him, and now he's able to win stage number 2 as well. So for Ryan Campbell, qualifying on the pole, gets an EOL, has to start at the back of the pack. In stage number 1, drives from the rear of the field up inside of our top 4 there at the end of the 1st stage. Came home 4th, earning himself some pretty decent solid stage points there in that 1st stage, all said and done. And now for the 39 ride, he was able to quickly work his way right up there, took over the race lead in this 2nd stage, and then shortly after getting it, came back down pit road, made a much earlier pit stop over everybody else. And for the 39 ride, able to cycle things back around, he picks up that 2nd stage win of the evening. Let's see if we can get him up here into the booth for another little in-race interview here. Man, that was a heck of a run for him. Hey, Ryan, it's Aaron up here at the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth again. You got a copy?
Hey, Aaron. Yeah, gotcha.
Ryan, man, what a run, what a drive so far for you, man. Obviously, we talked to you there before the green flag. You talked about that EOL and how you were going to have to try to navigate your way through that traffic, and hopefully you were going to be able to do it. And man, it looked, not really easy, but you made it look fairly easy as there in that 1st stage. You're able to race your way all the way up for a great run and inside the top 4 there for that 1st stage of the day, getting some very solid points there. And then obviously here in stage number 2, you're able to race your way out in front. Shortly thereafter, you come back down pit side, making probably one of the earlier pit stops out of all these drivers. And then as things cycle back around, all of a sudden you're in this tight battle with Jack Fletcher and Brandon Holder, Gleason, Burke, and a couple other drivers that were trying to stretch that fuel out, and it was just a dogfight there, but somehow or another you're able to come out on top of it. And through all the controversy and everything else at the start of this race, here you are picking up our 2nd stage win of the day, man. Take us back through what's going through your mind so far.
Yeah, I appreciate all the kind words. It's been a great race, a lot of good drivers out here. It's been a lot of fun. That 1st stage, I had the plan of pitting after lap 6 and then taking it to the end from there, just getting a splash of fuel to get me to the end of the stage. And you know, I talked about how I race the 24 hours here, and occasionally I'll have a little mix-up where I think I'm in that prototype again. And so the corner right before you get back onto NASCAR, I broke too late, and I ended up putting my right front into the wall. So I had some damage there. Team got it fixed up and got me back out. But, you know, I'm driving without my quick repair now, which is a little unsettling. And then stage 2, you know, yeah, I pit early. That was the game plan, to pit at the end of lap 22. And after I did it, I had second thoughts, because I thought I should have just stayed in the lead as long as possible and tried to stretch my legs if I could without having any traffic. But it worked out in the end. I had to make a couple of aggressive moves. Hopefully I haven't made anybody upset, but so far it's worked out great.
Yeah, absolutely. So far, it's been a pretty decent day at the Speedway for you, and hopefully it can only get better by picking up a dump here at Daytona in another, 24 laps, something like that now that we got left here on the docket. So still a lot of laps, still a lot of hard racing, and as he said, a lot of fun still to be had here this afternoon. And it's going to be a dogfight for obviously the win in here at the front of the field, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see if anyone's going to have anything for you. We talked to our first stage winner, Wesley Burke, and when we mentioned your name, he looked at the relative and he realized that all of a sudden you were into that fourth position, and I think the first words that came out of his mouth were, "Uh-oh."
Wesley's good here. Jack Fletcher's good. Brandon Holder, Ben Gleason. I mean, there's a lot of good drivers out here, and you know, I've blown a couple of corners, and you know, I got to say, you know, I'm grateful that they had big eyes and they were looking in their mirror a little bit. You know, I locked them up a couple of times in the infield, and you know, I'm glad I haven't taken anybody out yet. It's been really respectful racing. And you know, I hope it continues that way for the end here, and hopefully we can bring this number 39 ally into victory lane, man. That's the goal, right?
Absolutely. It's always the goal, man, and we can't wait to see what you guys got in store for us here for this final stage, man. Good luck, have some fun, and hopefully we'll get you right back up here into the booth in just a little bit.
All right, Aaron. Thanks. Appreciate it, man.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our pole sitter in our Stage 2 winner, Ryan Campbell, as Campbell picks up the second stage win of the day, as these drivers are pretty much all looking to come down pit road here and make what could be their final yellow flag pit stop of the day, as our second stage should be our final pit stop. And you do see the sixth ride of Brian Underwood. Oh, look out, Underwood. It looks like Underwood has ran out of fuel. He's got a teammate here trying to help him out. That's Nathan Brook over in the 7 ride that was pushing him, that was trying to get him back down pit road so he can make his pit stop and get fuel. So it looked like Underwood was able to make it there since lap 18, virtually the restart of stage number 2. He was able to make that entire distance there, obviously having to go even farther, though, before being able to make this pit stop. And for the 6th ride, had finally ran out of fuel, and luckily enough, has the 7 of Brook over there to, bump draft with them out there on Daytona, get him down pit road so he can make that pit stop, get fuel into that car. Fortunately, we'll lose a lot of track position in doing so, and may have even gotten himself some damage. But after these pit stops, it looks like Kevin Calkins come out of this with the race lead. I don't know where Calkins came from. I don't know if he made fuel-only pit stop right there or what, but he comes out with the top spot. Ryan Campbell will be scored back in second with Jack Fletcher, Brandon Holder, Ben Gleason, Wesley Burke, our top 6. Josh Crider will restart back in 7th with Sean Wilder, Brad Neer, and Grant Wesley, our top 10 out there on the racetrack. Farrell Robbins will be scored back in 11th with Mark Roten. Jen back in position number 12. Melvin Bringbrewer there in position number 13. Then we see Jeremy Jeffries, Brian Underwood in 15th. Jonathan Gaston back in 16th. And I do believe Abram Ghostin going to get potentially a lucky dog back on the lead lap. So great break there for him. For Nathan Brookover, still scored a lap down out there on the racetrack, scored back in the 18th spot. Robert Wolf down pit side here. Looks like he may be down for an extended period of time. He came down pit side on lap 29, has not rolled back out there. Same with Jordan Crider, Sean Merriman, Danny White, and Dustin Slightler. So we start with 23. here this afternoon. It looks like at least for the bottom 4, they have taken their cars off the racing surface and down in behind pit wall. Looks like their days are done. For Robert Wolff, he's just been down pit road since lap 29. Now, I'm not sure if Wolff is going to rejoin the action, get back into the fun here this evening or not, but for the Gorilla Garage Door number 13 ride, parked down pit side here now, multiple laps down. It's going to be tough to battle back, especially with no more caution flags here throughout this race. This was our final yellow flag of the evening, so if you run into an issue, you have a problem now. At this point, you will not get another stage break and another opportunity to draw in to all the drivers in front of you. You will not have that opportunity. So if you go for a loop-de-loop and you lose 50 seconds out there on the racetrack, you're going to have to gain that 50 seconds back out there on the racetrack. Now, whether or not that's by just pure speed out of your race car, or if that's by pure luck, or potentially, maybe some pitch strategy as well here late in this race to try to gain that time back out there on the racetrack. Is like the 11 ride of Kevin Calkins was playing a little tricks right there. He was thinking about coming back down pit road and topping up on fuel and giving up that top position, and then decides, nope, I'm not going to do that. I am going to stay out here. So Kevin Calkins will be our race leader coming back to the green flag. Now, we did see a few drivers back deeper in the field. They're going to take this chance to either get some damage repair or try to get some work done to their race cars, as we see the 16 of Brad Neer, Melvin Brenger, Mark Rothengen, Gaston. Looks like Jeremy Jeffries, Brian Underwood, they're all back down pit road, getting some extra fuel into their race cars. Nathan Brookover's back down there as well. So obviously these guys all just getting topped up here, getting that little bit extra fuel into their back pocket that it may make a difference here. I mean, this is a long racetrack, a lot of laps left to go here. Maybe their numbers, will just work out a little bit nicer and be a little bit easier to try to, make it to the end of this race without having to make maybe that one additional green flag pit stop, which could be a difference maker between, maybe a top 10 run or a top 5 run, or maybe even trying to put yourself up and into victory lane. So we'll have to wait and see kind of how that all plays out for them. But for all these other drivers, things are going to get really, really tight here on the speedway, man. Things are going to get really, really fun in a quick hurry. And I think the big question mark has been kind of fuel out there on the speedway. And it seems like for the most part, drivers have been able to make it roughly about 11 laps to fuel here. So to a full tank of fuel, they've been able to get roughly around that 11 laps, maybe 12 laps, the farthest we've seen anyone be able to push it, but they were really far off the pace. So if it is 11 laps here, everyone's going to be really, really tight on fuel at the end of this race, because they're going back green flag racing here at the completion of lap number 34. But they were down pit road for our top, 10 drivers on lap number 32. So you go another 11 laps, that puts you down pit side on lap number 43, and then potentially lap 54. You're out of fuel, or you're running on fumes out there on the racetrack, and that could get very, very nerve-wracking. So I think for those drivers that made that one extra pit stop, making sure they got absolutely topped up here, it may line up a little bit nicer for them, because pitting on lap 33, you're able to run that extra little bit out there, and it may just be that amount that could make a difference. Even if it is 0.2 of a gallon or 0.3 of a gallon, it could be a world of difference late in this race if our race leaders start running out of fuel and they're able to keep their foot in the throttle for that extra little bit. It may make them race winners this afternoon. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But first, we got to click a lot of laps off the board here as we get ready to go back to green flag racing. It's Kevin Calkins, Ryan Campbell, 1 and 2 here for what will be our final restart of the day here at Daytona Road Course with the Premium Stock Car Racing League. So our final restart of the evening. Now it's on like Donkey Kong, man. It is 21 laps of racing action left on the docket here. It'll be a 21-lap shootout here to see who can find their way up and into victory lane. You're in this one, man. Oh, baby, this is going to be fun. This is going to be really, really, really interesting to see how this plays out. Here we go. Back to battle here at Daytona. Great restart there for Campbell on the outside, and it looks like down into corner number 1, he's trying to hang on to the top spot as the 11 of Kevin Calkins cannot hold that bottom lane as nicely as he'd want to. Couldn't get really back into the throttle as fast as he wanted to, and for the 11, he gets really loose down through 2. Oh man, he almost went around right there as he sees his Blue Bulls teammate able to get around him, as well as that 14 of Fletcher as well. But out in front, continuing the race lead, is that 39 of Ryan Campbell. And Campbell hoping to try to keep these guys back there at bay and hoping to try to run away with this one, but he's got Burke now right in his rearview mirror. Jack Fletcher, Calkins, Holder, Gaston, Josh Crider, Shaw Wilder, Brad Meir, Wesley Grant, all these drivers ready to pounce, ready to duke it out here for what is going to be an incredible finish to another amazing night here with the Premium Stock Car Racing League, as Ryan Campbell will lead us here. We do see the 22 ride of Austin Ghostin running into some more issues back here. Let's take a look at the 22. He's going to have an issue. Looks like he's going to send it into, I believe this is car number 6. It's in there a little too far, goes up and into the grass. I do believe Farrell Robbins may run into some issues here as well on this restart. Let's take a look at the Dude Wipe 76. Looks like he's going to blow it off corner number 2. He's going to get into the grass there himself. Luckily enough, able to get it back onto the pavement and able to make that corner of 3, and no more issues, no contact there for him, and able to keep on battling. But for a couple drivers, man, those restarts could cost you a lot out there on the racetrack and giving up all that time. But for Ryan Campbell, down and across the line, will complete lap number 35. So 35 laps down, 20 laps left to go here this afternoon from Daytona International Speedway Road Course. It's Ryan Campbell out in front with the race lead, as we will jump into our Peacemaker Gaming Crank It Up. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, crank up that volume and cheer on your favorite drivers as we crank it up here on Peacemaker Gaming.
That was it. What's happening, man?
And what a run, what a race for you here this afternoon as you're able to find yourself up and in victory lane, brother. Take us back through this one and what's going through your mind as you're able to jump up here and put yourself into victory lane for the second time here at Daytona International Speedway.
Well, first stage, I just kind of bided my time, just kind of see who's who in terms of really what I was interested to see what the tires were going to do late into a run. And then ultimately, I guess it just came down to fuel mileage at the end. I guess some guys had to come down twice, but I'm just managed to save enough at the end there. I crossed the line with 0.2 gallons left, so I had enough to do about 3 burnouts, and then she was out. So it was definitely a close one. I'm just happy it's over, man. That was a long race.
Yeah, long race, a lot of laps, and obviously here late in this one, I was running into mic issues. I didn't even realize it. I was talking the entire time, and it was crazy though. Obviously, we saw a lot of the different strategy there. We saw drivers that looked to be good on fuel having to make those additional late race pit stops to get the splash and goes down pit side, and I wasn't sure if you guys were going to be able to make it or not, and it seemed like Van Gleason was still really much on the throttle. You started to really turn down the pace there, trying to make it to the end of this one, and honestly being that tight on fuel. You know, one more lap, you would have been a little too shy, but I think even for Gleason, he would have been right there, but we're getting a little bit nervous seeing how quickly he was starting to catch you there late in this race, and you maybe still having to, quarter throttle it down these long straightaways and corners here on that closing lap.
Yeah, I figured I had more fuel than Burke, just with how much his pace dropped off. And then I was kind of purposely not paying attention to any of the relatives or anything like that, just trying to hit my marks and hit my marks where I was saving. And then yeah, I think if it would have played out, if it was 56 laps, he would have been right there, dude. And if I did have the fuel, if I had to save, it would have been super, super, not nearly as comfortable as a win. But man, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you can obviously come back to Daytona is now 2 for 2 here at Daytona International Speedway on the season as you're able to pick up not only our season opener, but also the second race here at Daytona for obviously the road course now as well. So it seems like Daytona may be your racetrack, man, whether it comes to the road course side of things or the oval.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take it. I'll take it. I know we got Daytona one more time. It's an elimination race, I believe, so that would be an important one to win, and hopefully we can go 3 for 3 at Rubbered Up Motorsports.
Yeah, going 3 for 3 at Daytona, any season or any time you're out there on the racetrack, man, is a lot of fun. And yeah, we see Jimmy 3 times in the chances. Rubbered Up Motorsports, 2 wins in 4 races, man. Says thank you, Jack Fletcher, and says now we're off to Eldora, man. That's gonna be a lot of fun. How do you feel? Obviously, we've seen you win on the Super Speedway. We've seen you do really good with 2 other top 5 performances in our last 2 races, and now here with another win at a road course. It seems like you're kind of the jack of all trades out there on the racetrack, and now you get to go to the dirt track action, man. How do you feel about that one?
Definitely gonna be probably my off week. I mean, as in pace, I'm gonna be definitely slow. I think I only have like a C license in dirt oval, and I've never really run anything harder than I think it's the ump cars, or what I think they're called, whatever the ump series, or
UMPs,
it's
yep,
ump or
yep.
dump or something in iRacing. Yeah, I've only ever really run those, and I'm still like, I was only really like running a couple races this season just because specifically for that Eldora race. So uh, we're just gonna try and survive and keep defenders on it for that one. I think just have some fun.
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta have some fun. That's always the key to these races, is just enjoying your time, enjoying the racing action. having some fun out there on the racetrack, but it makes it a whole lot more fun when you're able to be competitive and battling and racing for these wins. And obviously here tonight, man, you're right in the thick of it between the stages, and obviously here at the end of this race, man, it looked like you guys were enjoying yourselves out there. Tight battles between yourself and Ryan Campbell. You throw in Brandon Holder and obviously Burke and Gleason right into the mix of things, man. It seemed like it was mayhem there and a little bit of pandemonium for a while out there on the racetrack.
It was definitely close. A little bit of beating and banging, especially on that last restart, but it's kind of expected, just with the way this racetrack is. But that being said, I had no issues with anybody. Everyone raced me super, super clean. I hope I raced everybody clean enough. I know I wore somebody's bumper out, I think, on the last restart. Forget the gentleman's name, but nothing too egregious. And big thanks to my race team, Rebel Up Motorsports, Josh and Jeremy Grant. It does take a race team to get these calls right for a strategy, because none of us are pre setting up strategy or anything like that. We're kind of just doing it on the fly, so it definitely is a team effort, just bouncing ideas off each other and trying to figure out the best strategy. So big thank you to them, and big thank you to you, brother. Thank you for putting on a good show every week.
Absolutely, brother. Always my pleasure. And Jack, as you park yourself back up here in victory lane, man, is there anyone else other than the team you'd like to thank here this afternoon for an incredible run and a great performance out there on the racetrack?
As always, I guess Mr. Underwood as well, for always keeping things tight and running the league, all the behind the scenes stuff. I really appreciate that. And yeah, big thanks to everyone. I guess we did pretty well there, I think, all things considered.
Yeah, all things considered, man, great racing, great fun, great night of battling here again in the Premium Stock Car Racing League, and we can't wait to see you guys back in action again next Saturday night when we head to Eldora Speedway for dirt track racing. Jack, hopefully we'll see you right back up here in the broadcast booth, and maybe going for that pole position, maybe a heat race win, trying to earn some of Lonnie Crider's money there next week, as well as he's put some money on the line for that race and for our Michigan International Speedway race in 2 weeks from now as well for the pole sitter there. So obviously a huge shout out there to Lonnie for putting on that money, and a huge shout out for yourself, man, for picking up the dub here tonight in this one, man. Hopefully we'll see you right back up in the booth next weekend.
Hell yeah, brother. Thanks again for everything you do. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Enjoy the rest of your night.
You too, brother.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for Jack Fletcher as Fletcher picks up the dub here this evening, man. What a run, what a race, and what a performance there for Jack Fletcher as he's able to pick up the win here this evening. As we'll get ready now to pull in our second place finisher. Oh, looks like the session has ended, so let's throw this into reverse real quick, Terry, so we can get a little bit of a look at it. We're going to pull Ben Gleason up here into the broadcast booth for his post-race interview. Hey, Ben, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. To get a copy?
Yes, sir.
Ben, man, great run, great race for you here this afternoon, brother. We've seen some good speed out of the 66 ride, whether it was throughout that first stage or through the second stage, and then right here at the end, obviously, you were up the pace there. You were looked to be good on fuel for at least the most part, and you're able to track down Wesley Burke, make the pass on him, and then as Jack Fletcher has to really start to save there in those closing laps, you're drawn closer and closer to him, hoping that maybe he starts to spit and sputter and give yourself an opportunity to seal this win away. Unfortunately, Fletcher able to just make it back to the line and keep himself in the winner's circle here tonight, but you get to come home with a very solid second place performance, man. Take us back through it. What's going through your mind?
Well, I'm very happy with it. The first and second stage, I was trying not to push too hard. I was just trying to stay relaxed out there, get through the stages, and then after second stage, that's when I really started to push. It coming out of the pit stop, leading up to the finish, I knew it was going to be close on fuel, and I just kept hammering, never tried to save, and I ran out of fuel as I was passing pit road on that last lap.
Yeah, just running out of fuel there. Obviously, a lot of drivers were really, really tight. We saw how much Wesley Burke was saving, and we saw Holder and a lot of these other guys having to make that additional pit stop there, getting that splash of gas and go. Was that ever a question in your mind? Were you ever thinking of that, or did you just think, hey, you know what, we're going to send it and see if, we maybe get a little bit lucky tonight, and whether or not it was lucky to be able to get to the end of this race still with fuel, or lucky to maybe, come out of this with a dub.
I was just gonna full send it. That was my plan the whole time. If I run out, I run out, and so be it. Um, I was hoping to get a little lucky because I'm not exactly sure, but I don't think Wesley or Jack took tires on that last stop, and I did, put me very far behind. But as I was watching lap after lap, and I wasn't catching Jack as fast as I'd like, I was like, he's gonna win it. I was like, I can have a chance to pass Wesley, and I did. Uh, it was just good racing tonight.
Yeah, great racing, great fun there, and yeah, we were going through it and trying to figure out kind of what the strategy would be there for Jack Fletcher. We weren't sure if maybe he was just pushing it and going as far as he could before making maybe a late race pit stop and getting that splash of gas and going, or if potentially, maybe he just wasn't even looking at the relative and didn't realize how tight that fuel was going to be in time. But right there at the end, obviously, I think he said as he came across the line, he had 0.2 left there in the tank for him, so it was really, really tight, man. If it was Talladega, maybe he would have started to spit and sputter there, but for Daytona, just not quite enough to be able to get that luck and to be able to steal that final spot. But Ben, great drive, great performance. You parked that No Luck Motorsports 66 ride up here on the podium in that second position, man. Who would you like to thank for a great run, great performance out there on the racetrack?
As always, I want to thank my wife. I want to thank my teammates, Chris and Jordan. I want to thank Brian and Josh. And then last, I want to thank you for putting on a great broadcast.
Always appreciate that, brother. It's been, man, great drive, great performance out there, man. Always awesome to have you up here in the booth after, these good runs and good performances, and hopefully many more to come throughout this season. But congrats on the second place run here in this one. And now we head to Eldora Speedway, a little dirt track action next Saturday night, man. How you feeling about going into that one?
I am not a dirt track guy. So it's not going to be for me.
Jack said exactly the same thing, so I think you might not be the only one back there just trying to figure things out and trying to keep yourself pointed in the right direction. But nonetheless, it should be another, kind of wild card race and another fun one to see, who's going to have the knack for it and who's just going to be able to maybe jump out there and surprise themselves and surprise everyone else as well.
I think there's a few ringers for the dirt track that we have in this league, so it should be some good racing.
Beauty. We always look forward to it, man. Whether it's good racing at the front of the field or good racing at the back of the field, man, it's always fun to see you guys out there on the Speedway. Ben, congrats again, though, on the second place run, and we'll see you back out there on the racetrack in the next one.
Thank you, sir. Have a good night.
You as well. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there to our second place finisher, Ben Gleason. Great run, great drive there for Mr. Gleason as we'll get ready now to pull in our third place finisher. Apparently we need to go even farther back here. Our third place finisher here, Wesley Burke. Let's get Wesley up here into the booth. Hey, Wesley, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth to get a copy. Hey, Wesley, it's Aaron up here in the booth. You get a copy? You might be muted, brother, so you might have to unmute. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh. Okay, well, he jumped back into the interview room. See if we can pull him back in here again, see if it unmutes him. Hey, Wesley, it's Aaron up here in the booth. Do you get a copy?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, we got
I gotcha.
Beauty. Wesley, brother, man, good, solid day here at the Speedway. Obviously, the stage win. Obviously, some good runs, some good racing there. Then late in this race, trying to make that final pit stop, trying to come out of it with a race lead, and you're able to come out of pit lane with the top spot. But unfortunately, it seemed like almost right at the get-go, you knew you were going to be tight on fuel. You started to turn it down and try to save that fuel, and unfortunately, you had to give up the race lead to Jack Fletcher. And obviously, Ben Gleason's able to get around you there as well. Both of them are able to make it on fuel, and unfortunately, you have to settle in for a third-place run here this evening. But, man, take us back through what's going through your mind after that, stage win. You were right there. It was very, very dicey for quite a while, especially through that final run into those final pit stops, as you could throw a blanket over, yourself and Fletcher, Holder, the 39 of Brian Campbell. Man, it was some great racing there for a while. You guys put on an absolute epic show for us, and then obviously right down to the checkered flag here, obviously with the fuel and tires, everything else, man, it was a lot of fun to see what you guys could do out there on the racetrack in this final 21 lap run.
Yeah, I don't know what really happened. I let Jack by trying to get some draft, hopefully save more fuel, but I just ended up making mistakes, ran off track a few times, and then ended up snatching the curb out of turn one, those little S's, and it snatched me into the grass, and that did it. And so I just had to save more, and then same thing with Ben. I just let him by, tried to get draft, and then he just pulled away. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think Ben was saying that he took tires there on that last stop. That's what put him so far back from you guys off the hop of the restart. So he had a lot of ground to make up. But late in this one, that may have been the difference maker between you being able to stick with them and hang with them there to battle for that second position, is the a little better tires there later in this race. But obviously for Jack Fletcher, man, he was able to save fuel, still run some really good laps there, and able to pick up the dump here in this one. But you back it up with a good solid third place run after a win last week, man. You come here and earn some stage points and a solid third place performance, and it's got to feel good to be kind of getting this consistency on a roll here this early in the season.
yeah, don't know who's gonna be the points leader. It's gonna be between me and Jack. I want to say he's probably got it, but I don't
Yeah, we'll have to wait
know.
and see where all the bonus points line up and everything else to see who will lead us into Eldora for our fifth race of the season, and who will have that points lead going into Eldora's. Man, talk about another wild card race here. Obviously, with a super speedway under our belts now, and a road course. Now we go to a dirt track, man. And that's going to make things very, very fun. And obviously, the first 5 races going to have 3 of those wild card speedways. Makes it very, very interesting to see, who can be consistent and kind of be a tough competitor at kind of all styles of racetracks here. 5 races into the season, and for yourself, obviously, how you feeling going into Eldora? Is it going to be, a good battle for you, or are you going to, struggle and not have the speed that we're used to seeing into the 09 ride?
Oh, I love dirt, so hoping I'm gonna be up front, bound for the win. I think I'm capable of that. I've had up to 3,400 iRating on dirt oval. It's fallen off a bit just because they don't run as much now, but
Beauty. Well, we love to hear that. And I know Ben Gleason and Jack Fletcher both told us that they're not really looking forward to much of the dirt track stuff. They're not really good at it, but they kind of had a sneaky suspicion that there'd be a couple road course ringers here in the field, and it sounds like yourself may be one. So Wesley's going to be maybe another good show, and obviously trying to keep that consistency up, and maybe another victory under your belt here in a week's time from now. But man, great run out there tonight. Great battle here at Daytona International Speedway. Wesley, who'd you like to thank for another great run and great performance out there on the racetrack?
just the whole Blue Bulls team.
Beauty. Well, Wes, great run, great drive here this evening, man. We can't wait to see you back out there at Eldora, and hopefully, as you said, man, right up here in Victory Lane.
Yep. I'll see ya.
Beauty, enjoy the rest of your night.
You too.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for Wesley Burke as Wesley picks up the dub and pulls the 09 up and into victory lane here this evening, man. What a run, what a drive, what a performance from all these fellas this afternoon, man. These guys put on a great show, great race, and great performance for each and every single one of us, man. That was a tight battle. It was an interesting battle, and obviously we had some mic issues there. We were trying to get figured out just as the race was coming to a close. I was hoping it was coming through, but Streamlabs had disconnected my mic, so I was going through all of the different mic inputs that I have and everything else and trying to find one, and finally we were able to get it hooked back up again where I think you guys could hear us, and I see it moving now, so I think we're good. I think it's working fine, and hopefully won't have that problem again. I don't know why it disconnected, but nonetheless, we were here. We were still calling it out. We were waiting for it to kind of work again, and it just wasn't going. And luckily enough, we were able to get it to work here for those post-race interviews and for the calls there just at the end of the race. But man, what a crazy one. Crazy night, crazy racing action. Obviously, no caution flags. So when issues arise for these drivers, we talked about early on in this race, is that when you run into issues early on, at least you had a couple of those stage breaks, a couple of those caution flags to kind of, gain all that track time back up, kind of rejoin the rear of the field, and then go back to work again out there on the racetrack. But you run into those issues later on when you look at a driver like Ryan Campbell, our pole sitter this afternoon, having such a good run, having such a good race, and then obviously running into some of those problems later on, cost him a good solid top 5, top 3 run here potentially this afternoon. Even when you look at Josh Crider, when him and Campbell got tied up together, cost them both pretty solid finishes here this evening. They still finished inside the top 10, don't get me wrong, but I think they could have been at least a couple spots farther forward out there on the racetrack. And then even when you look back at Brian Underwood, we saw Underwood with that pit road speeding penalty late in this race, not coming into pit road where we normally see those penalties happen. It was exiting pit road. Just a simple mistake there, unfortunately, leaving pit lane. And for Brian Underwood, trying to get everything he could, cost him, unfortunately, a really solid top 10 performance here this afternoon as well. So all those mistakes, man, especially in that final stage with no yellow flags, there's no way to bounce back from it except for just trying to put your foot to the throttle. And unfortunately, there's only so much you can gain out there on the racetrack. And unfortunately for those guys, not a lot of gains there after their mistakes late in this one. But man, that was a lot of fun, a lot of great racing. We can't wait to see what these guys got in store for us next week. Again, a huge shout out to Lonnie Crider, as Lonnie's got some money on the line for us here next week as well. He gave an extra $10 to our pool sitter this afternoon. So for Ryan Campbell, earned himself a little extra dough, and look at that right now. Here is the extra payouts here. So as we head into the second race of the Lonnie Crider payouts here, we had the Weldora. So the pole sitter there, the driver that qualifies with the quick time, will earn $5. And will also put them on the pole position for their heat race, where each heat race winner will also earn $10. So if you can win the pole and win your heat race, you can walk away with $15 in your back pocket and set yourself up for probably what it will be the pole position in our A main feature event. So it could be a really good day at the Speedway for you, even if you qualify back in, 10th or 12th. If you can jump up there and steal the heat race win, I mean, that's $10 into your pocket. You don't even have to qualify. Maybe you can still steal that heat race win and put yourself into a good position. Then we head to Michigan, and another $15 on the line for the pole sitter there at Michigan International Speedway as well. So huge shout out there to Lonnie Crider again for putting some extra money on the line for these drivers to really, trying to hype them up and make things that extra a little bit special and a little bit more interesting and intense for all these guys when it comes to, just trying to qualify or trying to, put themselves in good position for these heat races. But huge shout out there to him. Huge shout out to all of our amazing sponsors. Unfortunately, that will do it for us here tonight. That will do it for us out there on the racetrack. We can't thank you all for watching. We can't thank you guys enough for tuning in. And we'll see you guys back in here tomorrow afternoon, as we got 3 races tomorrow night, man. 3 races tomorrow. We're gonna be tuckered out there by the time we have that late one. But It'll be a lot of fun. It'll be some great battles, some great racing. We got a couple asphalt races with the Outcast Racing League firing back up at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. Shortly after it ends, we jump into our Speedway Alliance Racing League, which is back on the dirt track for a quick little race at Knoxville Raceway, and then we head back for the wheel-to-wheel racing leagues. They head to Las Vegas tomorrow night for some really, really fun NASCAR racing there tomorrow night as well. But listen, we can't thank you guys enough for tuning in and showing the love here tonight, man. Another great show, another great addition to the Premium Stock Car Racing League action, and we can't wait to see you guys back in here in the next one. So thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for tuning in. We'll see y'all back here in the next one, man. Peace and love, ladies and gentlemen. Peace and love.
Engines roar, the night ignites, rubber burns under neon lights, chrome shining, stars align, dreams hit the track, now it's grind time. Wrapped tight, tailpipes glow, pit stop precision, gotta keep that flow. Crowds a jungle, hearts in the choke, lap by lap, adrenaline spoke. Speed kings, chasing that checkered crown. Under the moon, we don't slow down. Saturday nights, we ride, we fly. Premium league, we touch the sky. Pedal to metal, no brakes in sight. Racing forever in the glowing night. V8 screaming, thunder on wheels, heat from the asphalt raw and real. Track's a snake, it twists and winds, grip the wheel, leave fear behind. Spotlights dance, tires squeal, victory's close, you can almost feel. Pulse is wild, the finish looms, the checkered flag, it seals the room. Premium league, we touch the sky. Pedal to metal, no brakes in sight. Racing forever in the glowing night. V8 screaming, thunder on wheels, heat from the asphalt raw and real. Track's a snake, it twists and winds, grip the wheel, leave fear behind. Spotlights dance, tires squeal, victory's close, you can almost feel. Pulse is wild, the finish looms, the checkered flag, it seals the room.